Joining us now are retired Major General Dana Pittard, the author of Hunting the Caliphate, America's War on ISIS, and Ambassador Michael McFaul, former U.S. ambassador to Russia and the author of From Cold War to Hot Peace. Gentlemen, good to have you with us this evening. General, let me start with you. We noted that a spokesman for CENTCOM cited the additional explosions after the strike as indication that there was explosive material there, presumably that they targeted the thing that they intended to target and hit their target. What do you make of where things stand now after these strikes?
Well, again, Joshua, thank you for having me this evening. The strikes in themselves probably helped prevent a bombing. It sounded like there were secondary explosions, which would indicate that there was bombing material there, or material to make a bomb. But these single strikes won't make a whole lot of difference. And it was involved in hundreds of drone and airstrikes in the fight against ISIS. And it's going after a network that has the most effect. Following a strike with another strike is the most fundamental way and effective way to get to ISIS-K.
Ambassador McFaul, let me get your reaction to some of what the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, had to say. He was making the rounds this morning, and here's part of what he said about what happens after Tuesday's deadline. Watch.
August 31st is not a cliff. After August 31st, we believe that we have substantial leverage to hold the Taliban to its commitments to allow safe passage for American citizens, legal permanent residents, and the Afghan allies who have travel documentation to come to the United States. We will use that leverage to the maximum extent, and we will work with the rest of the international community to ensure the Taliban does not falter on these commitments.
Substantial leverage, Ambassador. I'm not sure what leverage the U.S. has over the Taliban at all right now. Is there something I'm not seeing?
First, Joshua, thanks for having me. And I want to start just by thanking the families of the American heroes that lost their lives to continue the mission at hand. And I applaud the Biden administration for continuing the mission. They did not stop the mission as a result of a terrorist attack. That's important to remember. And that we're now up to 114,000 out, including 5,000 Americans in the last 2 weeks. That is a significant accomplishment. But the plan does not end. The evacuation does not end. Jake Sullivan just said it on August 31st. And it means we now have to go to other modalities to get out literally thousands, maybe tens of thousands of Afghans that have been working with the United States over the last 20 years. And I want to explain who these people are. I think they're not understood very well. These are people that have been working with American-funded NGOs to promote the rule of law, to promote women's rights, to promote democracy, independent media. They're normatively very committed to our values, and that's what makes them so dangerous to the Taliban. That's what put targets on their heads. So the government, and I applaud them, they have said it's not going to end August 31st. It means it's going to be something different. They have not told us what those other modalities are. I just hope that they remain committed to getting everybody out who's with us over the last 20 years.
General, what about you? What do you think about this leverage that the Biden administration says that it has to try to exact or to get any more cooperation from the Taliban? It feels like the leverage is the capacity for somebody at the Pentagon to basically throw a dart at somebody over the horizon and hit them drone strike style, the way that we've done so far. I'm not sure what other leverage or deterrent the U.S. really has right now.
Well, Joshua, that's the reality. We have very little leverage. And whatever leverage we had is really leaving with our military capability that is departing right now. I agree with much of what the ambassador just said, with the exception that the plan, as far as withdrawal, was poorly planned. When troops ended up abandoning Afghanistan, and that's what we did, we abandoned Afghanistan. At that time, the plan to evacuate civilians, Americans, as well as our Afghan allies, didn't appear to be a part of it. It became a part of it after we withdrew the troops, and we had to send more troops back in. Now, since then, after that stumble, a lot of good things have happened. The evacuation of 114,000 civilians is a significant accomplishment. But we still have problems with planning. And what is the strategic vision for the future? We have very little leverage. We have a little economic leverage. Supposedly the Taliban wants to be a part of the family of nations. So we'll see what happens, but we have very little leverage at this point.
Ambassador, one more clip I'd like you to react to, and that's the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who was on Meet the Press this morning talking about what the Taliban's future relationship with the world might be after this deadline. Watch.
Nothing has been promised to the Taliban. To the contrary, we have made very clear, and not just us, country upon country around the world have made clear that there are very significant expectations of the Taliban going forward if they're going to have any kind of relationship with the rest of the world, starting with freedom of travel, but then going on to making sure that they're sustaining the basic rights of their people, including women and girls, making sure that they're making good on commitments they've repeatedly made on counterterrorism, and having some inclusivity in governance.
Before we have to go, Ambassador, you are an expert on Russia, and I think I would be more inclined to thoroughly believe the Secretary of State if Russia and China had not already stepped up to the Taliban and said, you know, we'd like to do business with you. You've got all kinds of things that we can partner on, possibly help finance the rebuilding of your country. And by the way, there are some wonderful minerals in the ground that maybe we might be able to work out a deal on extracting. I think if that was not in play, maybe this assurance that the international community says it has from the Taliban might feel meatier, but nations like Russia and China seem like they're giving the Taliban another way to be part of the community of nations.
Yeah, that's a great point in the long run. And I don't think anybody should be so arrogant as to predict what Afghanistan is going to look like in 3 to 5 years. I most certainly am not. But in the short term, we need to get our people out. We need to get our allies out. And the statement that came out by the United States, signed by 97 other countries, holding the Taliban accountable for getting those people out. And let's be clear about this. We are using the word leverage. I'm not so sure it's in the Taliban's interest to have these people left in their country either. Remember, it was ISIS-K that attacked us, not the Taliban. Why does the Taliban want democracy and human rights activists in their country? So actually, I think our interests in the short run are aligned. I just don't know what the plan is for getting those people out. That's the part that I think is mysterious after August 31st.
Major General Dana Pittard, Ambassador Michael McFaul, gentlemen, thank you both very much.